Hey everybody, we're here today in Stillwell, Kansas in Joyce Householder's beautiful garden, and it's the end of June, and I thought maybe Joyce could give us a tour today and tell us a little bit about how this garden has evolved over the years. Hey Joyce.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. So glad to be here. Thanks for welcoming us. So you moved here more
1988.
1988, so
yes.
More than 30 years ago.
30 years ago, it was a blank slate, no trees, just a ratty lawn.
Oh wow.
No stonework, any of this, and just a really 3 conifers or junipers up at the front that were overgrown onto the sidewalk, and that was it.
Could you have ever imagined that this was what it might look like?
No, but I'm so happy it wound up here.
Oh, it's so beautiful. You've been so busy over the years.
Over the years, I had a vision though of a lot of the areas. Like here was just a steep slope, and the water used to rush down, and mud would slide down, and you know, I always wanted to have stonework here, so that was a goal, and here and our front terraces. So
you do have some beautiful stone. I love these retaining walls.
Yeah,
they're really beautiful. And then, and you've planted a lot of trees on the property over the years.
A lot of trees we planted, and over time they've come and gone, and you know, outgrown their life cycle.
So it's sometimes you've started with sun, went to shade, and then.
And then have spots of sun again where trees have disappeared.
Right. So there's just like in 30 years, just a lot happens.
It just evolves. Right? It's just every year it's something new.
Yeah, so. I love that. So you mentioned the drainage that was coming down off of this property, or off the back lawn,
and off from the property around us. If you see, we're kind of in a depression here.
Right.
And so everybody's water would just come right through our yard, and there were times when it went over the road even.
Oh my goodness.
And so they had to replace the drainage size tube under the road, and then we decided we're just going to do a rain garden. And after learning more about it, the city would pay for half up to a certain amount to put in a rain garden for conservation purposes, so that's what we did.
Oh, interesting. So now you direct it down your driveway.
Well, we have a permeable driveway near the top.
Right, yes.
Yeah. So which helps to absorb some of the water, and then the rest runs down through here and goes right into that area there.
The swale at the bottom. And so how deep it was? It
was like about 4 or 5 feet deep.
Yeah.
And then over time, silt kind of backfills a bit, so it's not as deep as it used to be, but it still functions.
And you've planted it up with plants that can withstand moisture and drought, both.
Correct.
And
more the native variety of plants.
Right.
And part of the city's requirement was that you planted only Kansas natives, which was very restrictive because we're very close to Missouri, and many of the Missouri plants are much more tolerable than the Kansas plants in the water area. So over time it's evolved.
Right. Oh yeah. So that's helpful. Yeah. And so it's really pretty from the road too. I mean, and in the summer especially, all the different plants that are blooming. There's a lot of summer blooming plants
on
in there,
that slope there. We've got a lot of the native plants plugged in, and they've reseeded and taken over. Last year we planted a few more extras, like that were growing out of their spots, and and this year they've definitely adapted, and so it's really, really grown up.
That's really nice. Okay, so what zone are you in here?
5B to 6A.
5B to 6A. Okay. I'm so impressed that you have a banana that stays over the winter, right?
Right. What we do though in the winter, when it gets after the first frost, we cut it down to about this height, and then build a little chicken wire fence around it and pack mulch to several feet deep. Put a little fertilizer down along the bottom so it has some feed for the next spring, and then overwinter it, and then somewhere in April it starts to poke its head out the top, and that we know it's time to move the mulch away. So
wow,
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think the stones really help to keep the ground heated, and there's another layer behind it and in front of it. So
that's so beautiful. I mean, what an impressive sort of architectural greeting as you drive up the driveway. It's so beautiful. And I see it has a little bloom this year.
Yes, it does. It's going to make little baby bananas, but I don't know if they'll live. So we'll see.
That'll be exciting to see.
It'll be exciting.
We'll have to stay in touch. I want to hear.
Yeah, I'll send you pictures.
Sure, sounds great. So here we are at the front entrance, with these steps walking up to your front door, and it's just a taste of kind of what's in the backyard. There's so much variety here. Right. I love these, more stonework and terraces. And this was all full sun when you moved here, right?
Right. This is the east sun coming into the front of the house, and there was no tree, no plant, no garden here. and it was just a steep slope and a little bitty sidewalk coming to the front. And so over time, for our 20th anniversary is actually what happened. My husband and I built this. We did the whole step system and the terraces.
Wow.
A few smashed fingers.
Oh my gosh. A lot of sore backs.
Oh, I guess between the smashed fingers.
Yeah. And so, and it changes. I mean, this changes a lot through the seasons, right?
It does change a lot. Like last year in March, we had a tornado that had come through right between the homes here, and we had matching trees here. So this is now open sun where it was shade last year, and we lost trees in our yard, and plants were ripped out of the ground here. So,
so hard.
It's just. But then it gives you an opportunity to plant something else.
That's true.
That's all I say. I'm a plopper, so when a hole arrives, I find a plant and put it.
That's right. Me too. Yeah. So I was interested in what you said about the bear's breeches here.
Oh, the bear's breeches grew in shade, and they would only bloom every few years.
Right.
And then once the tree has been gone, 2 years now. Last year and this year, they have been blooming like crazy.
So pretty.
And they've spread almost all the way around that little pot.
So out of disappointment or tragedy, sometimes opportunities happen. Yeah, you never know.
So great.
And it's so peaceful and shady right up here, and private right in your front too.
Yeah,
I love
like that. Sit on the front porch in the rocking chair.
Oh yeah, what a great spot when you ever sit down. Right?
Yeah, right.
Well, let's go around to the backyard and take a look there too.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So you've talked about how things change over time because of trees and tornadoes and all kinds of things, happening.
Just weather in general.
But every year, your reseeding annuals kind of make it a different garden too, right?
They certainly do.
So,
every year there's a different color blooming. Like this year, there's a lot of purple larkspur right here.
Okay.
Reseeded itself from last year where I only had maybe a few. We have a lot of cosmos coming back, and even some of the spider plant here, the cleome, and so they just kind of take over and move around the garden, and I just kind of let them.
Sometimes in the same bed, sometimes in a different bed.
Right, they just move around. But part of that is when I'm weeding and I have it in my cart and I'm chucking them along the garden, I'm dropping them as I go.
And the birds help.
Oh, the birds definitely help. The little goldfinches love all those coreopsis.
I saw that in the front. We saw a couple of birds, a couple of goldfinches there earlier today.
Having a breakfast. So.
Yes, that's so fun, and it's just fun to watch. And so how do you edit? Sometimes do you have too much of something, and do you let it bloom, or do you pull it before it blooms? Or?
Mostly I let it bloom unless it's impeding on maybe a perennial.
Okay.
Or if it's growing in a ground cover, then I'll come through and just hurry and pull it out and just look the other way.
It's hard to kill a plant.
It's hard to kill a plant. If it's willing to grow, I'm willing to let it try.
Yeah. So another annual that I've seen a lot of is the Verbena bonariensis.
Oh yes.
I love that plant.
Me too.
It's so pretty.
And it can grow between anything. It really is no worry.
It isn't a plant that looks great on its own.
No. It's kind of that stock.
Yeah, it's stick. It's almost like a little stick coming up, and but it's just so beautiful mixing with other plants, and the flowers are so small. It's almost like a bouquet, like you've planted a bouquet.
Well, and the butterflies love it.
Yeah.
And the bees.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's great.
And so you have such a variety of different borders and beds here. This is your yin and yang
So
bed.
This is the white bed, which has been infiltrated with some pinks.
That happens.
That happens.
And then the other
is the more colorful. That's the female, and this is the male energy.
Oh,
if you're looking
nice.
at it in that way.
That's so great. And then, but you have in each anchor, in each end, the willow.
Yes, the dappled willow, which
So-
is out of control a little bit this year.
How do you prune those every year here?
Well, this year I didn't prune it because I didn't get to it before
Right.
it grew, and it gets that pretty pink and chips on them.
Oh,
But
yeah, the
usually
new growth.
It's trimmed to be about this tall in the spring before it gets going, and then it
Right.
just shoots out of the middle. So.
So pretty.
Yeah.
So pretty. Well, speaking of anchor plants, I've noticed that you have a lot of conifers. Almost every bed has at least
Something
one
green, yeah.
conifer in it. Let's take a look at a few of those.
Okay, sure.
Okay, here we are by the pond, and we've got this beautiful false cypress, Chamaecyparis here. I love this texture.
Yes.
And you've got nice texture in so many of these beds.
I always try to get something that's going to stay green year round for interest, because so many things come and go. You want some steady, something that's you can depend on.
It's a great backbone.
Yeah.
And it contrasts so beautifully with this Japanese maple.
Oh, I love the maple. Yeah. And it was in full sun for the first time a couple years ago when we lost a tree here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I thought it was just going to die, and it's thriving.
It's doing so well.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And yeah, there's just a lot of great texture and color contrast here. And you've got several different, some of them dwarf, some of them not dwarf.
Right.
Conifers mixed in around the yard, and it's a really good design choice, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Here's another one of your favorite reseeders, right?
Yes, this is Fennel, and the black swallowtail caterpillars are usually all over it, and that's the reason I let it grow. And it reseeds everywhere happily. I collect the seed, I use it in cooking, I grind it in the kitchen, and
it's again another cool texture that a lot of plants don't have.
Fluffy and airy.
Yeah, and then it has the yellow blooms. Is this bronze fennel or?
Well, it started out as all bronze fennel, and now it's become green.
It's a mix. Great. And then I've seen a lot of poppies around too.
Oh, yeah, I love those. And they reseed everywhere too. And I have a lot of different varieties of poppies, and every year I'm kind of throwing out something different. And when I clean them out of the garden, I always pop the seed heads off and throw them. There's like 5,000 seeds in every.
Right. Yeah. So you don't save them indoors, you just sow them right in the...
this is when they would reseed for next year.
Right, so it's just a natural...
And if I'm planting a new variety, I winter sow in the snow.
Okay, yeah. So you do it in, what, is that March?
February.
Oh, January for you, okay.
Early because, you know, we don't always get snow in March, but,
true.
You know.
Yeah, so right in the winter, and then you... So you have different colors. You mentioned that you started...
Yes, I have pink with a purple center. I have purple ones. I have these new blackish ones. I had really cool red ones with black centers this year, and they left way before you got here, though.
Oh yeah, so, right. But always something different here.
Always something different.
So. Let's go take a look at some of your projects that you've been working on.
Sure.
So in addition to so much variety in your plants, you have these beautiful projects and details in all of your decor and hardscaping that I just love throughout your garden. And you made all of this, right?
I did. I grew the leaves and made the stepping stones from concrete. Yeah.
So do you have any idea how many you think you might have? Hundreds,
maybe 100,
thousands. Who knows? So many, and you've got these
everywhere, and they're tucked in everywhere, and I have stacks of them that are unused sitting on the porch. So they're everywhere.
And a lot of friends have them in their gardens too, right? So, so cool. I just love these, and these are elephant ears, right?
Elephant ears, and I grow those to use.
So you have them, they multiply, you save them over the winter,
right?
All that. Oh, so cool. And the variety of sizes is so cool.
Yeah.
Is this your favorite leaf to use for leaf castings?
It is. I do use castor beans and rhubarb.
Cool.
Rhubarb is a cool plant.
Is that a good one too?
Yeah, but it gives you more of a molded look. So you have to cast it over sand, so it'll be a shape.
Right. Okay.
Versus just flat on the table.
These guys are flat, right? What about hostas? Do you use hostas sometimes?
Leaves, yeah. Like Summit Substance is awesome.
The really big ones.
Yeah.
I noticed you had a hosta rescue sign over here behind us. What's the story behind that?
Well, I used to work for a person who had a lab and did tissue culture, and then I was the hosta baby mama and took care of them in the greenhouse, and then when they didn't show up to be what they were supposed to be, they were in the trash. And so then I came along and took them out of the trash and brought them home and raised them here like a good mama would.
So you have lots of great hostas throughout the garden.
I do, and some of them actually have names that I bought before I was a rescue person.
So it's a nice mix.
It's a nice mix.
That's great. Yeah. And then the other thing that you have so much throughout this garden is Hypertufa projects.
Yes, I love Hypertufa.
Oh, it's so, I mean, I just can't believe all the variety that you have here.
All the different pots.
These little houses are so charming.
Yeah.
Did you and you made all of these?
Yes.
And so tell me about how do you make fairy houses out of Hypertufa?
Well, you have a form that you use that's like a flat form that you make the walls, and then you liquid nails and actual nails and nail them all together and go from there.
What it's just so fun to see the different the different roofs and the different kind of styles.
Right, and mine are pretty plain in the scheme of things. You know, you could put little doorknobs and all kinds of paint. You could like dry brush them with paint and make them colorful. And I don't know, I'm just not that I don't have time really, but
It's just so cute here.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's another
a poppy. Yes, and see,
you're
it grew
saving
there,
that.
so I
Yep.
left it there. And there's actually some marigolds. that go
Oh,
along
right.
there, too.
Yeah, they're like trees in this fairy garden.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they look
look
like
at the succulents are like little palm trees.
those are so cool. That's so fun.
Yeah.
It's just really cute. But these aren't the only Hypertufa projects you have. You have
Flower pots.
a lot of flower pots. And so what are some of the fun different forms that you've used throughout the years?
Baskets, cottage cheese containers, kitty litter containers, the plastic buckets, just boxes.
And do you do them over the top or do you do them on the inside? How do you?
On the inside,
Okay.
usually. But I do have, it's a punch bowl that looks like a seashell. You turn over and I work on the outside of it. And then
Okay.
so it's a seashell.
Oh, on the inside. So is that
And I use
a
it for
good like a bird bath?
bowl or,
A bowl or something. That's
yes,
really cool.
and I do a lot of bird baths too.
Oh, okay.
But I've been doing those more with the concrete, but with over sand with a lot of different leaf textures in
Right.
it. And
The
then go
hostas
through
or the rhubarb or something.
and paint them.
So what's your recipe for Hypertufa that you like to use the best?
Well, it's basically kind of equal parts of the Portland peat vermiculite, and then I use some little fiberglass fibers to help give it some stability and strength in the long run, and then sometimes use the bonding agent that you use for concrete that helps it to harden harder.
Oh, okay. And when do you? How much of the? Is there a ratio to the fibers that you would put in, or just kind of sprinkle some
Well,
in?
they're fluff. They come all packed into a little container, a little
yeah.
bag-like thing, and then once you pull out a handful, they like.
It's like when you buy a brick of yeast or something.
Yeah,
how it
it just
opens
like
up
gets really big.
Yeah.
So you don't really,
You just
need very
grab a
many.
little pinch
Yeah,
almost and
they'll
sprinkle it
spread
in.
right through.
And the hardener, do you put that in?
As water. So pour it into like a measuring bucket of some sort. Pour a significant amount of it in, and then add the water to that, and then pour that in, and then
When
keep
you
adding
mix.
water once you
Okay,
once
gotcha.
you get that part in.
All right,
So,
great. So interesting.
Yeah. Okay, and this is my timeout shed.
Oh, this is just like everybody's dream. It's the perfect combination of function and charm.
I love it. I spend a lot of time in here in the winter. It's full of plants. Everything's not everything in here, but a lot of my plants are overwintered in here, and it's just like a walking trail to the potting bench.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So it's warm enough to keep things over the winter because you have a heater up here. And then in the spring, do you do seed starting out here? I see you have your plant
I
lights.
seed start out here and then take them to another area to grow them on where I have a grow light in the garage.
Okay, okay. And so tell me about this table.
Well, this table is an old surgery table. It's the base from an old hospital table.
gurney.
A gurney, yeah. And then the person, it's a neighbor person, Peter, he built the top for it.
That's really
and
cool.
it has hydraulics. You can pump it up.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It
And
is
you've got
cool.
these fun stained glass lights in here.
Well, this stained glass light came from Applebee's that was being remodeled. And the carts, so Pier 1 Imports that went out of business.
Right.
And the siding, the cedar siding over here came from a house that was being remodeled in an older part of town that had really old wood.
That's just my favorite kind of structure.
Yeah,
to
my
have all this
husband
upcycled stuff.
built all the benches and whatnot for
It's
me.
really clever.
Yeah, and our cool sink came from a rehab facilities maintenance area, and when we got it, it was covered in paint and rust and had even nails glued to the bottom of it. It
Oh,
was
wow.
really brown.
So, wow. Well, it's like my dream sink for a
It cleaned
potting
right
shed
up.
right now.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. My neighbor Paula sewed the skirt for me because I'm not very good with sewing, and she did it in one day. We went
my
shopping
gosh.
and she sewed it, and it was so pretty.
It's perfect here. Joyce, this has been such a fun tour.
Yeah.
I am so glad we got to connect this way.
Me too.
And you were just telling me about the fragrant milkweed out this door.
Yeah.
So
It's
let's go.
breathtaking.
I have to go see.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's go.